What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Exhaust Noise on Cycle Vision Network, your weekly blast of everything fast from MotoGP, World Superbike, MotoAmerica, Supercross, and then the entire two-wheel universe. If it rolls, races, or revs, we are tracking it right here on CVN. Welcome back to Exhaust Noise on Cycle Vision Network. I am the Rain Man, Kenny Abbott, and we're jumping into the stories from the paddock this week. A special welcome to all of our new followers joining the CVN community. You're now part of a growing family of riders, racers, fans, and behind-the-fence insiders who live for this sport. So I appreciate you, and I hope that we'll see you pretty soon at Daytona or Blackhawk Farms Raceway coming up later this year. And remember, it's our job as a community to do the things every year to help the motorcycle economy, right? So here's the deal. It's our job to bring at least one new motorcycle rider into the industry this year. Okay. So find a friend, family member, somebody that you meet somewhere and get them on a motorcycle. Get them on a low CC motorcycle, a scooter, something. Get them into the motorcycle industry and get them to the local dealerships. And then your second challenge is get somebody who's already in the motorcycle community, who's already riding, get them to the racetrack. Get them to the racetrack to a riding school clinic, get them to a track day, a novice program, get them to the racetrack and get them to be part of that economy as well. It's going to make them safer, and it's going to, again, boost the economy there, help the trackside vendors, support your local dealerships, get another person on a motorcycle this year, and get someone to the racetrack. Those are your three jobs for 2026, all right? So that's how we grow the sport. That's how we keep things alive. And that's how we keep things moving here in the motorcycle industry. Thanks to all of our sponsors this week. We want to let you know we appreciate you. So thank you to the Power Sports Store, your trusted source for bikes. Thanks to Two Brothers Roundhouse right here in Aurora. Great food, great drinks, and the perfect place to bench race. And AMSOIL Lubricants, performance and protection for riders who demand the best. And race fans, don't forget that MotoAmerica LivePLUS is the exclusive home of MotoAmerica Superbike racing and the Daytona 200. So every race, every class, all season long, live or on demand with MotoAmerica LivePLUS. Sign up now and lock in that early bird subscription pricing. All right. So those are our keys to the week. All right, let's fire it up and jump into this week's Exhaust Noise. Daytona Bike Week is almost here, and the countdown's officially on for the two of the biggest events in American motorcycle racing, the Daytona Supercross, the Daytona 200. If you're planning on part of the action, now's the time to lock in your spot. Tickets and camping are available right now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. Visit the official Daytona International Speedway website for tickets, tent camping, as well as RV camping inside the speedway. Yep, you heard that right. You can reserve an RV campsite with power and water that backs up to Lake Lloyd or the International Horseshoe inside the famed walls of the World Center of Racing. You'll also find full event schedules, everything you need for Bike Week at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. Whether you're coming for the dirt, the pavement, the flat track, or the full Daytona experience, the Speedway has you covered. We're going to jump off with our 26 in 2026 for this week, starting with MotoGP and Alex Marquez, who topped the final day of Sepang testing, riding for the Ducati-powered satellite team. He ended the final day of the Sepang MotoGP test at the top of the timesheets. Any time a satellite rider ends the test on top, it tells you two things. The bike is strong across the whole grid, and the rider's comfortable enough to push it low on fuel and fresh tires. So that's going to go a long way probably early in the season. How does this fit into the bigger picture? For Alex, this isn't just a fast lap. It's a statement that he's not just Marc's brother anymore, and last year wasn't a fluke. He puts pressure on the factory Ducati riders and reminds everybody that the satellite team can absolutely steal podiums and wins if the setup window is right for them. His brother Marc Marquez returns from injury and top testing on day one, where the multi-time world champion, now in the top tier of the Ducati team for the second year, his first official test back from injury, and his immediately goes to the top of the timesheets of the Sepang test. Why does this matter? Coming off the injury, most riders spend day one just getting their feet wet and just getting back into the groove and communicating and stuff like that. But Marc shows up immediately, sets the pace, tells you that the bike's working, his fitness is solid, and his confidence is intact. And as we all, when Marc is fast, and especially on that Ducati, the rest of the grid knows that the title fight just got a little bit harder. So for all of the momentum that the other manufacturers had at the end of the year and maybe had early on in testing this season, the fact that Marc just jumps on his bike from last year and picks up where he left off, that's that's a sign for the rest of the paddock that they may be in trouble. This especially the Yamaha, KTM, and Aprilia. You know, they had some success last year. Not Yamaha, not so much, but Yamaha was hoping to really push ahead a little bit more this year with that V4 platform. A little bit more on that later. But this is sort of a warning shot to the rest of the field that, you know, Marc's on pace and Alex is on pace. That Ducati is going to be hard to beat this year, at least if we look at early testing. The LCR Honda team unveiled their 2026 color scheme with rookie Diogo Morena, who joins Johan Zarco on the LCR Honda. They rolled out the new livery and confirmed their rider pairing. The experienced Zarco alongside MotoGP rookie Morena. This is a classic veteran and rookie structure where Zarco brings setup knowledge and development feedback, and Morena brings the raw speed and long-term upside. So for the Honda team, every mile matters as they try to climb back to the front of the MotoGP field. How this fits into the bigger picture is that, you know, LCR becomes a key development arm of Honda as they field two teams this year. And if Zarco can make the bike a little bit more rideable and Morena can adapt quickly to it, Honda's rebuild timeframe is accelerated a little bit. Onto the factory Honda HRC Castrol team. They just revealed their 2026 colors as well with Joan Mir and Luca Marini. The factory Honda squad revealed their updated livery and confirmed Mir and Marini returning as their lead riders. Honda has clearly been in a rebuild era with Mir, a former world champion, trying to rediscover his form. Marini is a smooth, analytical rider who can help steer development. When Honda is strong, MotoGP is better. When the question is whether this pairing between these two riders is going to do it for the factory Honda squad, or is the LCR squad going to do better? You know, there's enough of a close gap there that we'll see which team makes the larger jump here this year. But having four riders on the Hondas is going to help them quite a bit. And really, all they're trying to do is close that gap, right? They were a little bit better than Yamaha last year, but everybody has a long way to go to get to Ducati. Aprilia showed some speed last year, and so did KTM. So those are really the three front runners, and the Japanese are now just trying to play catch up. So Marco Bezzecchi signed a multi-year factory Aprilia deal for 2026. This is a big time move for Bezzecchi. He's already shown he can win races on a competitive satellite bike. So moving to Aprilia gives him factory resources and puts him in the corner of development with Aprilia and in the center of their long-term project with the bike that's been proven to be competitive. Publicly, it's framed as a multi-year deal, which signals the commitment from both sides, right? Aprilia is betting on Bezzecchi as a future title contender, and Bezzecchi is betting that Aprilia's development curve is going to stay pointed up and keep moving in that direction. As we've said, that the Aprilias did well last year, and we saw him on the podium. So maybe Bezzecchi moving to Aprilia is what that combination needed there. So this move reshuffles riders a little bit in the market and tightens the top tier as Ducati loses a proven race winner, but Aprilia gains one, and everyone else has to adjust their long-term plans. Jorge Martin was ruled out for the Sepang test after December surgeries on the Aprilia. So he missed the Sepang test and one of the only preseason tests. And so this is a big deal at that level. While other teams are dialing in electronics, tire behaviors, long runs, and stuff like that, Martin's just watching from the garages. The surgery involved a corrective procedure to address lingering issues and, the kind of work riders often do in the off season. And this one was maybe a little bit too close to the start of the season, and he just wasn't ready in time. So he'll likely arrive at the next test or the opening rounds with a little, behind the eight ball, they would say, on familiarity with the new bike and everything else. But the questions become, how quickly can a rider of Martin's caliber catch up? And does that slow the start? Does that slow of a start cost him and the team in the early development mathematics? So we'll see how that goes. Red Bull KTM and Tech 3 reveal a unified 2026 color scheme with Brad Binder and Pedro Acosta branded as Tech 3 Gas KTM, and they'll be the KTM satellite team. So the KTM factory and satellite bikes are sharing a closely aligned livery this season, focusing on brand power and technical alignment. And a unified look reinforces the idea that all four bikes are part of the same project, not two separate programs. And for the riders, it signals that the satellite bikes are deeply integrated into the factory development loop. And for fans, it makes the KTM army visually unmistakable on the racetrack. Fermin Aldegar missed Sepang test as well due to his femur surgery recovery. The MotoGP rookie on a Ducati-powered satellite team also sat out the Sepang test. As you guys know, for a rookie, every lap is gold. So missing a full test means he'll also be playing catch-up when he does get back on the bike. His talent is not in question. Aldegar has already shown incredible speed in Moto2. The question is whether he can compress the learning curve in fewer laps than his rivals on a brand new platform that he has very little time on. The Trackhouse Aprilia team also unveiled their 2026 livery and extends their Gulf Oils partnership. The Trackhouse Aprilia satellite team has two riders on the RSGP machinery. The new livery and continued partnership with Gulf also has a clear identity as Aprilia's satellite arm. Trackhouse brings American ownership and media savvy to the MotoGP. The Gulf partnership adds a classic motorsport brand to the mix. This is part of a larger MotoGP plan to push farther into the U.S. market, as the American-owned team has strong branding and manufacture that's really on the rise right now. So that's exciting. Yamaha has debuted their factory V4 MotoGP prototype with Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins. This is the major departure from their long-time inline four-cylinder philosophy. And the V4 layout is all about top speed, acceleration, and braking stability. Areas where Yamaha has struggled compared to the Ducatis and KTMs over the past couple of years. Early feedback suggests that the bike has more straight line performance and a different character on corner entry. So maybe that'll help a little bit. Quartararo was saying he was having a hard time turning the motorcycle. So the challenge is preserving Yamaha's traditional strength, mid-corner feel, and front-end confidence while gaining the horsepower they've been missing in comparison to the other brands. Big picture, this is Yamaha admitting that the old formula had hit its ceiling and run its course. And if they get this right, Quartararo and Rins go from underdogs to genuine title threats again. But clearly there's a lot to do and a long way to go. Now, there's a lot of underlying politics in a lot of this as well, and rider movement and stuff like that. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes here. This isn't a very clear picture of what it's going to look like moving forward. In the World Superbike paddock, the Portimao test ended with a little bit of mixed conditions. It was wet but fairly productive. The riders and teams had mentioned. Bulaga was fastest, with Ducati going 1-2 with his teammate Iker Lecuona on the Aruba.it Racing Ducati. The World Superbike test at Portimao was hit by mixed and wet conditions, but Bulaga still ended up on top with another Ducati, his teammate Lecuona close behind. They were the only two riders under to the 2-minute mark, both turning laps at a 1:59.1 lap time. Jake Dixon was third, the fastest of the rest of the pack. He did a 2:01, so a 2:00.1 for Dixon. That was the fastest of the rest of the field. And again, only two riders broke that 2-minute barrier to get into the 59s. Virtually a full second off the pace of the Ducatis. So with Alberto Suera on the factory Honda, also in the 2-minute range, he ended up at a 2:00.7 as his best time. Portimao is a really technical, high commitment track. So if you're fast there, it usually translates to a lot of other circuits. So being quickest in the tricky conditions shows the confidence of the bike's electronics and tire behavior. Ducati had a clear edge at this test, with Bulaga leading the way and the rest of the field just chasing. Big picture, Ducati Superbike program continues to look like the benchmark. So we'll see if they'll dominate at the World Superbike level as well this year. The question is whether Yamaha, Kawasaki, BMW, or Honda can get close enough to close that gap before the season really gets underway. In the MotoAmerica paddock, Pirelli announced a long-term partnership with Ride HVMC rider Cory Alexander. Cory Alexander on the Hudson Valley, New York-based Ride HVMC Racing Ducati will now be on the Pirelli tires for all of the non-spec series races and track training programs. So Pirelli signs on a long-term partnership, which obviously means stability in development, testing, and setup. This is a massive deal for Pirelli to get Cory Alexander on the books. While the Dunlop tire will continue to be used at the MotoAmerica as the official tire, this deal reinforces Pirelli's presence in club racing and track days, giving Alexander a platform to build consistent results and giving Pirelli an independent and incredible test rider with a lot of experience testing at the highest levels and on multiple top-level machines, including the Arch. So Cory's got a lot of different bikes in his garage, in Garage Ocho out west. So he's got a lot of different bikes that he can play with these Pirellis and help them develop stuff. And obviously, Cory's one of the top riders in the country. So good for Pirelli for getting him on board and helping with testing and development. The Yamaha Racing Experience returns for 2026 at Misano in Italy. The Yamaha customers and select guest riders event. This was Yamaha owners and invited riders get some track time, coaching, and direct interaction with some of the Yamaha engineers and sometimes some of the factory riders if they're available. This is brand building and talent development all rolled into one. It keeps Yamaha riders loyal to the brand and gives Yamaha a chance to spot up-and-coming talent. How it connects to the U.S. fans is, even though this event was at Misano, the content, the tech insights, and the rider feedback filters back to Yamaha's global racing programs, including MotoAmerica and the club racing here in the U.S. Cam Beaubier on his new Ducati Superbike did well in the Portugal tests. Cam was on his MotoAmerica spec Warhorse HSBK Ducati, sponsored by Flow for Law Superbike, who will be teamed with Smith this year in the MotoAmerica Championship. Beaubier got his first serious laps on the Ducati Superbike in wet and mixed conditions at the test in Portugal, but with Cam being a multi-time MotoAmerica champion and former Moto2 class rider, his experience speaks for itself. Seeing him on a Ducati is a big storyline for a lot of reasons. It's a new chapter for both rider and manufacturer in the U.S., as the key is that Beaubier is learning the new electronics, engine braking, and tire behavior on this Ducati after coming off of BMW for a couple of years where they struggled with a lot of these things. So if he's already close to the pace of the established World Superbike Ducati riders in those conditions, it's a strong sign for Cam that he might be the one to beat in the MotoAmerica Superbike Championship as well. In the European testing, he's been just outside top 5, within the top 10 the whole time. So the bike's on pace, he's on pace. It should be interesting once we get to Road Atlanta. Will be the first round for the Superbikes here in America. The Superbikes do not run at Daytona coming up here in a couple weeks. SDK, Sean, Dylan, Kelly, and Jason Uribe also spent some time at the European test days wrestling with cold, wet conditions. But the takeaway is all positive. SDK adapted quickly to the Alpha Racing Orange Cat Chicago Motorworks BMW M1000RR, dragging elbows in the wet conditions and giving strong feedback. Jason Uribe also showed his trademark aggression and consistency, helping the team refine traction and electronics, and the team left Europe confident and ready for U.S. testing. Excuse me. Speaking of Chicago Motorworks, join us on February the 21st at MCC, the Motorcycle Center in Villa Park, Illinois, when we have a live show from the Midwest Region AIM Expo hosted at MCC on Saturday, February 21st. So put that on your calendars, everybody, and we'll see you at Team MCC. Follow Team MCC for your social media channels, as well as Chicago Motorworks BMW. And we'll see you at MCC on February 21st for the Midwest Region AIM Expo. Nathan Guker returns to the U.S. for the 2026 Talent Cup. The young American rider returns from racing overseas to compete in the U.S. Talent Cup this year. This goes to the American talent pipeline. Anytime you get a young rider that can come back from international experience and jumps into a structured development series, it raises the level for everybody. Big picture here is the U.S. wants more riders in MotoGP, Moto2, and World Super. This is where it starts, right? The Talent Cup, the riders here in our series, and their way up through the series, and then trying to ship them off to Europe where they can compete for world championships. Again, if you don't already have your subscription to MotoAmerica LivePLUS, you still have some time to get in on that early bird pricing before it jumps up to $110 a year. So visit MotoAmerica LivePLUS to subscribe today so that you don't miss anything from MotoAmerica this season. The SNS Cycles announced $31,500 worth of contingency programs for the Mission King of the Baggers program. SNS Cycle has always been heavily involved in V-twin racing, but this year they announced a $31,500 contingency program for King of the Baggers. The contingency money is how privateers survive. For those that don't know, it rewards results and encourages more teams to show up and push harder. Big picture here is it shows King of the Baggers isn't just a gimmick anymore either. It's a series supported championship with real money and real industry backing, and the classes are getting bigger and bigger and the bikes are getting faster and faster. What we're starting to see is a lot of that race technology now work its way back to the production motorcycles in the dealerships. So that's exciting too. BPR, that's Bryce Prince Racing, confirms their 5-rider lineup in 2026, where they will field a multi-class MotoAmerica team featuring ding, 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 Josh Hayes on a BMW Superbike. Ben Galati and Jarrett Nassani will both ride Yamaha R6 machines in Super Sport. Max Toth will be on a stock 1000 BMW, and Owen Williams will be in the Talent Cup. This 5-rider program clearly crosses multiple classes. Why does this matter? Multi-rider, multi-class backbone of MotoAmerica, and they develop riders, share data, and they keep the paddock healthy, and they keep the grids healthy, which is what we need right now. Good for Bryce Prince for putting this all together, and a strong BPR lineup means more depth in the middle of the field and more riders with solid equipment and support. Good job, Bryce. Well done. Yamaha also confirms 2026 Superbike team with JD Beach and Bobby Fong. We released this a couple weeks ago, but while we're talking MotoAmerica and what it's going to look like here at the beginning of the season. So JD Beach makes the move from Honda to Yamaha. And let's be honest, JD Beach has been affiliated with Yamaha for a long, long time. So JD Beach goes back to the factory Yamaha team alongside Bobby Fong on Superbikes. And so this will be a real exciting year for Yamaha as they lock in Beach and Fong after both riders have proven to be race winners in 2025 with completely different styles. So they'll probably have, obviously they'll have completely different setups on the bikes. Most likely they're similar size and weight, but it'll be interesting to see how they both go on that bike. And JD Beach is going to be get up to speed really quickly. So Beach with his dirt track background and Fong with his aggressive late braking approach. This across the paddock, we're seeing riders switching brands, new teams step up to Superbike, and some veteran moves in coaching or endurance. And some riders are going from Superbike back to Super Sport. So whole shuffled deck this year for the MotoAmerica paddock. It's so exciting. I can't wait to get it to Daytona and see the 200 and the Super Sport class and how that shapes up this year with all the moves there. But Road Atlanta is going to be really exciting. So make sure you get your tickets. Go to MotoAmerica.com for all of the event information. They have links to tickets and everything else. And for Daytona, you can get tickets, RV camping, everything at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. So those are your two hubs. But obviously, MotoAmerica.com and MotoAmerica LivePLUS. Those are the two. Those are the websites where you can go get all your information, links to get tickets, and get everything you need. So first couple rounds, Daytona, Road Atlanta. Daytona will not feature Superbikes. Road Atlanta will feature Superbikes. Make sure you're at both rounds. Moving out of the U.S. and looking at the global motorcycle market, our next story is that women in Iran are now the country of Iran. Women in the country of Iran are now legally allowed to have motorcycle licenses. I'd never thought about it before because it's just not local, I guess, but women were not allowed to have motorcycle licenses in Iran. And to be 100% honest, they haven't been able to have, it's only recently that they're able to get driver's licenses. So the fact that they have motorcycle licenses, this is a really, really big deal. The legal change now allows women to obtain motorcycle licenses in Iran. Obviously, this is a massive cultural shift. For decades, women riding motorcycles in public in Iran has been restricted or heavily discouraged. So this opens a whole new door for more women to commute, ride for fun, and eventually participate in organized motorsports. It also sends a signal globally about the role of women in motorcycle culture. Big picture, this, anytime a country expands access to riding, motorcycle riding specifically, the entire industry from manufacturers to gear companies to race organizers eventually feel the positive impact of that. So good for Iran in pushing and moving everything forward. Arctic Circle Raceway has a dual-use circuit located in Norway. So inside the Arctic Circle, yes, the Arctic Circle in Norway, this is a track that operates in two completely different modes depending on the season. Traditionally, road racing in the summer, and then in winter, they do driving and riding experiences where the snow and ice comes into play. It's a great example of how circuits can stay financially viable by diversifying and using all of the seasons to their advantage, not just relying on race weekends in the summer and the dry, but using the facility year round for winter sports as well. How this connects to racing is, riders and drivers can now train in low grip, low visibility conditions, which is going to sharpen the car and bike controls, provide tuners an opportunity to set up in different types of conditions. And really, this can be replicated anywhere. I have a couple partners where we've been talking about, reusing facilities when they shut down for the wintertime. The obvious is, if you're somewhere where you have a lot of snow, you can do snowmobiles and that kind of stuff. But why not get the tracks wet and allow them to freeze and use the ice surface as well? So anyway, there's a lot to do there. So just another interesting story. That's the Arctic Circle Raceway in Norway. So check that out. A new motorcycle manufacturer, AW Motorcycles, that's AW Motorcycles, launches their new Sabre 500 and Sabre 700, which are two new midweight class entries into the sport bike field. The AW Motorcycle is a newer motorcycle manufacturer entering the global market, again, with the Sabre 500, Sabre 700, middleweight motorcycles aimed at the sport and naked bike segments. The midweight class is where a lot of the riders live, and manufacturers tend to focus, obviously, for commuters, weekend canyon riders, and track day regulars. New entry into this market means maybe more competition on price, competition in performance and features. As more manufacturers push into the space, it raises the bar for everybody. Better brakes, better electronics, better value for riders. So check out AW Motorcycles. We'll see if we see them in any of the dealerships. The dealerships out here in Chicago are all shutting down. So maybe Southern California, Florida, we might see those first. But AW Motorcycles, new to the market. Also, Magni, M-A-G-N-I, Magni revival story. A handcrafted Italian motorcycle returns with a new performance machine. A boutique Italian brand known for handcrafted high-end motorcycles. It's a renewed push to bring Magni back into the spotlight with run, high craftsmanship machines. Brands like Magni keep the romantic side of motorcycling alive. Hand-built bikes, attention to detail, and direct connection to racing heritage. While big OEMs chase volume, boutique builders remind everybody that motorcycles can still be art. We obviously see this with Keanu Reeves' new Arch motorcycles as well, right? All right, to wrap up the show, we're going to talk about Supercross. So let's jump into that. The last few stories are focused on last week's Triple Crown at Houston and tonight's main event at Phoenix. At the Houston Triple Crown last weekend, Cooper Webb on the Yamaha took the overall win in the Triple Crown. You just have to be the most consistent over 3 races in the Triple Crown. That's exactly what he did in Houston. Webb's strength has always been racecraft and mental toughness, and a Triple Crown overall shows he's still that guy. The one who can manage risk, read the track, and be there when it counts. But he barely beat out Hunter Lawrence on the Honda, who remains second in points due to his consistency and strong finishes. But riders are still track on the Red Bull ATM in the championship. Still very strong going around Phoenix. As mentioned, Hunter Lawrence has had great momentum on the Honda. He grabs a race win with the Triple Crown format. Every time Hunter wins, it reinforces the idea that the Lawrence brothers aren't just hype, that they're the real deal in the premier class. Big picture is a race win inside a Triple Crown weekend is the builder that and a reminder to the field that Hunter Lawrence can win races on any given night, and he's going to be a championship contender. Eli Tomac crashed in race 2 of the Triple Crown, but he podium in race 1, and he won race 3. So he salvages value points and keeps the red plate going into Phoenix today. Eli Tomac on the KTM, even when his night isn't the best or he isn't clean, he finds a way to score big points. So as long as Tomac can stay consistent on his new team and keep the red plate, everyone else is just chasing, and he'll be tough to beat this year. Nights like this, show why he's always in the championship conversation. Phoenix Supercross track was, the track design rather, was released, and it features a really long start straight, one of the longest start straights of the season, plus a split lane rhythm section. So that'll be really interesting. Long starts reward horsepower, traction, and clutch control. If you don't get out of the gate, your night's going to be a lot harder. Big picture, the Phoenix Supercross is often a momentum round. Riders who leave here with good results tend to carry that confidence into the next block of races. So this new layout at Phoenix, it's going to reward aggression, precision, and clean starts. So we'll see who can put those things together. The 450 Supercross Championship looks like this after 4 rounds. Eli Tomac on the KTM sits first in points, followed by Cooper Webb on the Yamaha, Chase Sexton on the KTM, Hunter Lawrence on the Honda, and Jet Lawrence on the Honda. Tomac holds the red plate. Webb is coming off a Triple Crown overall. Sexton is quietly stacking podiums. Hunter Lawrence is riding with confidence and consistency. Jet Lawrence is still dangerous every time the gate drops. And if he nails the start, he can flip the script on any given night. So we'll see what happens to the 450 class. In the 250 Supercross West Championship, current 2026 point standings look like this. Hayden Deegan on the Yamaha leads, with Levi Kitchen on the Kawasaki second. RJ Hampshire on the Husqvarna is third, with Joe Shimoda on the Honda fourth, and Jordan Smith sits fifth. Deegan's consistency is becoming the story of the season. Kitchen and Hampshire are right there, but Deegan is controlling the pace and the pressure. If he keeps putting it on the box, everyone's going to be forced to take some bigger risks and see if they can either knock him out, knock him down, or score some more consistent points. Well, that's a wrap for this week's Hot Lap. From MotoGP testing to MotoAmerica news, from industry headliners to tonight's Supercross showdown, this season is heating up fast, and the storylines are only getting better. Let's thank our partners one more time. That includes the Power Sports Store for keeping riders on the road and the racetrack, Two Brothers Roundhouse for the food, the drinks, and the bench racing nights that never end, and AMS Oil Lubricants for protecting the engines that make all the noise possible. For Cycle Vision Work, I'm Rain Man Kenny Abbott, and this is Exhaust Noise. Gear up and head out. Ride safe, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on CVN.